to make things more efficient, since there's other people that want to supply some input and what have you. So that's why I think he suggested it be moved to the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to having a discussion tonight if you want. I just think I'm not gonna have a vote tonight. So I don't wanna have a discussion tonight and next month because we're gonna be talking about the same thing twice. But if you guys wanna talk about it, we can talk about it.
Wait, I'm sorry, which agenda item is this?
The pickleball.
Okay. I mean, any of us could call for a motion though on it if we wanted to, right?
Excuse me?
Any of us could call for a motion on it. If we wanted to.
You could,
Okay. All right.
but I think it's a matter of collegiality between members, so I'll leave that to your discretion.
Presentations, we have proclamation for Stu Glass. Where's Stu? Oh, there he is, all right. So, whereas Deputy Mayor Stu Glass has served the town of Indialantic with distinction and unwavering dedication from 2010 to 2024, demonstrating exceptional leadership and commitment to public service. And whereas throughout his tenure, Deputy Mayor Glass has championed crucial initiatives, most notably the implementation and preservation of the short-term rental ordinance, which has significantly impacted our community's quality of life. And whereas his leadership extended beyond our town borders through his exemplary service with the Space Coast League of Cities, where he served in multiple capacities, including board member, treasurer, vice president, and president from 2011 to 2024. And whereas Deputy Mayor Glass's commitment to municipal governance earned him 6 Home Rule Hero Awards from the Florida League of Cities, and he represented Indialantic as a voting delegate for 11 consecutive years. And whereas his environmental stewardship was demonstrated through his service on the Florida League of Cities Utilities, Natural Resources, and Public Works Policy Committees, where he championed important initiatives, including legislation on forever chemicals. And where Deputy Mayor Glass has fostered vital relationships at the Brevard municipal government level, Brevard County level, state of Florida level, federal level, and U.S. military level, enhancing Indialantic's presence and influence. And whereas his service on numerous boards and committees, including the Space Coast Transportation Planning Organization, East Coast Florida Regional Planning Council, and Indian River Lagoon Management Committee, has advanced our community's interests. And whereas his dedication to public service has been recognized with a Presidential Lifetime Award for municipal volunteering. Now therefore, I, Mark McDermott, Mayor of the town of Indialantic, Florida, do hereby recognize and honor Deputy Mayor Stu Glass for his extraordinary dedication and distinguished service to the town of Indialantic, and express our profound gratitude for his 14 years of exemplary leadership and unwavering commitment to our community's advancement and well-being. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause of the seal of town of Indialantic, Florida, to be affixed this 8th day of January 2025. Congratulations, Stu.
Well deserved, Stu. Thank you. Congratulations.
Public comments. Yeah, before we get too far, I did forget. Mike gave me this nice reminder, and I forgot to even read it. Next month's meeting, I'm going to be heading out of town, so I didn't know if you guys wanted to hold the meeting on the first Wednesday, which is February 5th.
That's fine with me. I'm okay with moving it up if it's okay with staff and the rest of the council.
You guys good? John, Kerry?
I would love that because the 12th is actually my birthday.
Oh,
Well, happy birthday.
all right. So do we need consensus or vote?
Consensus is fine.
Consensus.
All right, so there we go. February 5th is the next town council meeting instead of February 12th. Public comment for non-agenda items. Let's see. We have Mrs. Lowe.
Your AV.
The video.
I'm AV today.
There's not portable all the way up there.
We're going to show a short video because it's not, are we going to do just the audio?
No, we can do it all.
I don't know. Okay. All right. So this is something that Sherry and I and our neighbors have been dealing with on a continuous basis since October. The Indy Yard has been,
Can you say your name and
oh,
address?
I'm sorry, Kitty Lowe, 411 3rd Avenue. Indialantic.
Thank you.
So we were instructed when we found out that this gym went into the backyard of Sherry's house, and we were instructed to video, call the police, make a report, get audio, do everything, to try to make our case. Well, we did that, we sent it in, and all of a sudden, somebody comes back and says, a lawyer says that we don't have a case, that they're okay being in there, it's a physical therapy place. Well, this is just a small part of video that we have, or audio, pictures, complaints. This is in our backyard, and it shouldn't be. It's a gym. Even if it was a physical therapy place, it shouldn't be in a professional zone, anywhere on this street over there. So if you could just show it for a second. This is how loud, and you got to get out, it's in your house. You can hear it in your house. There's music, there's people hooting and hollering. It shouldn't be here, and I don't understand why it still is. But the police have been very nice in helping us, and I really appreciate that. Appreciate them. Sorry, guys.
The audio's not coming through.
I have it on my phone.
We can send it to them if they want.
Okay, so, we're back here talking about this again. Hopefully, we do get a meeting with you that we've been trying to get.
Yeah, Mike is, town manager setting it up with chief.
Okay, so, I'm starting out with this before we got the notice that we were going to be able to finally get one, because I was instructed yesterday by the code enforcement guy that we will not get a meeting about this. And then yours looked like it might have said something about, we can't even object to this, we have no rights. The citizens of this town are being ignored.
Ma'am, you have to address the council.
Okay, we're being ignored for some reason, that this is a gym. We know that it's not. The only thing that everybody's telling us that we can do is complain about a light. And today, they put up a obnoxious black tarp. It is attached to her fence because I went and took a picture of it, and I pushed on it, and I felt the screw behind, and it was on the beam. Every one of those are on a beam. So whether it's his fence or her fence, it's an eyesore, it's obstructing everything. She shouldn't have to even look at that. Also, I don't know if you have a picture of that?
Yeah, I do, but
Nothing's coming up, okay. The town council has told us we can do nothing, and this is an issue for code enforcement. But the council appointed the town manager, the code enforcement, so we're coming to you guys since they've ignored us. We live here, I've lived here for almost 25 years, probably longer than a lot of you have lived here. I don't know, maybe not, but I've lived here. I've never had an issue like this in our backyard, except for the meth lab that was behind my house in the duplex, which I will take for credit. I will get the credit for getting them out too. And, we play by the rules. This is a slap in our faces. Our property value is going down because of a gym in the backyard.
Ms.
And it
Lowe,
feels like,
are you wrapping it up soon?
Nope.
Your 3 minutes are over.
okay, Sherry's gonna give me her minute.
She can't do that, so your time is
Okay, well,
up.
Sherry, read this. So you guys interrupted me.
And we're allowed to do that. Your
several
3 minutes is
So
up.
we need the town of Indialantic,
Ms. Lowe, your
to
3 minutes
step
are
up.
up.
and why should we be expected to live like this?
Anyone? Patty Gonsalves.
Put up the video link I sent you? Thanks. Yeah, please put the video link from this video, my name is Patty Gonsalves, and I live at 401 6th Avenue, and I own a home on 431 3rd Avenue. I've lived bordering professional zones for almost 50 years. I know what a professional zone looks like to live by. The last meeting, we saw the council members sworn in. I watched 2 leave, I watched 2 get sworn in, and when they were sworn in, what struck me is they're sworn in to uphold the charter of the town, which is residential. They're also sworn in to uphold the codes and ordinances of the town. Okay, so since then, we've been stonewalled by the town. Trying to speak or meet with anyone to address our concerns has been futile. This is what's going on in the backyard. It has been made to be as confusing as possible as to who does what, where to turn, trying to figure this out. It has been exhausting. Exhausting. We have been told by Mike Casey that it's a medical office. Cliff Stokes says they do physical therapy. Joe Colombo, the prosecuting subcontracted, I believe, attorney of the town, says that the violations are not sustainable or enforceable. Who gave him this information to make this decision? Not us. He hasn't come to see us or see what's going on. He has all the power. Not the council, not the paid employees. If you go to every RP zone, which I did, and looked at every professional office, no one is conducting any business in a backyard of an office. It's all interior usage, except at 424th Avenue, where there's a gym outside. Why is this allowed? Why is this one business in a professional zone violating all these codes allowed and not enforceable? He's the only one doing this in a professional zone in a backyard. Why are these violations not sustainable? That's so confusing to me. Per Mr. Colombo, I don't get that. This, if allowed, means open season on anyone in a professional office that wishes to open anything in a backyard can do so. The vet across the street from me, she can fence her yard in and have a kennel. She can do that now. She can. I want the residents of this town who are having trouble being heard. We now understand your pain. I'm so sad about this. For the residents bordering professional offices in RP zones, we are genuinely worried for you. Our quality of life has been extremely affected, gravely, and it has been a living hell. Some of us have been threatened by the assertive business owner. I am personally worried for my safety, as is one of the other neighbors. My only wish is that the mayor or member of the council lived behind this, as you may feel much differently about this if you did. Thank you for the police officers. Oh, thank you to the police officers. They have responded to all of our complaints, and even in their narratives of the reports, which we have all of them, they describe the amplified noise heard in the middle of 3rd Avenue. They have documented exercise classes going on in the backyard. They've been empathetic toward us and have forwarded this information to code enforcement. We appreciate you very much, and you have been there for us. We really do.
Thank you. So, Mike, just to clarify, you'll be setting up a meeting, right, for next week?
Yeah, some of the questions, I mean, we've met with him previously too.
Right.
We haven't met.
Right. And you and I are going to speak with Mr. Colombo about the sustainability of the noise, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Excuse me, may my video get shown, please, somehow?
I showed the video, but the sound wasn't coming through.
Yeah, it was
May
shown.
we just listen? We don't have
Uh,
to see
You
this.
can
I'll
email
crowd
your video to council.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
You can email it in a
We
playable
do.
format, and we
Yeah.
can forward it to them.
I want everybody here to see.
Any other public comment, non-agenda items? Lauren?
Lawrence Strand, 120 Ormond Drive. Honorable council members, when a town transitions from a peaceful residential community to one dominated by business, the daily lives of the residents change, sometimes for the worse. Increased traffic, noise, strained resources, light pollution, and trash are not just inconveniences. They erode the quality of life in our home and for our neighbors. When residents say, we don't want to become Daytona Beach, they're not just talking about aesthetics. They're expressing a deep concern for the soul of the community. Transformations like this don't happen overnight. They occur incrementally. through policies and decisions that sometimes prioritize business interests over residents. And once the character of a town is lost, it's nearly impossible to regain. This is not about opposing businesses. Residents value local commerce, and when business practices intrude into neighborhoods, they're forced to speak up. Consider the evidence. In the residential professional district, you've just heard some people speak up. An outdoor gym, sauna, and spa are now operating, far removed from the intended uses of offices like doctors and dentists. This unilateral decision by the code by the town enforcement attorney leaves the residents with no avenue for appeal. Consider outdoor cafes are permitted without public input, a decision made by the code enforcement officer with the tacit approval from the town manager. Last night, the Zoning and Planning Board approved a site plan with errors, omissions, and ambiguities, issues acknowledged by the applicant's architect. Mr. Wright was there. Even the applicant's architect admitted the original survey was missing, yet the plan passed 4-1. Residents are raising these concerns because trust in the town leadership and staff is eroding. Ambiguities in the code, stonewalling in communication, and lack of transparency are fueling frustration. Sympathetic police respond to complaints without action sometimes, and businesses grow emboldened by precedents. Council members, this is happening under your watch. If the code is inadequate, it's your responsibility and the town's manager's responsibility to act. You can take action to right things that are unclear or claimed ambiguous. The town charter, comprehensive plan, and the code prioritize residents and a peaceful community. Yet policies from the town manager and code enforcement officer, I believe, are setting the stage for intensive business uses to overrun the commercial districts. Residents are suffering, and you're hearing from them. You've seen them, and they continue to come. Residents are pleading with you. See that the code is correct and they enforce the code fairly and consistently. Please protect our neighborhoods. Lead decisively, put residents first before irreversible damage is done to the community that we call our home. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Lauren. Any other public comment? All right. Let's see. Public announcements. There are openings on the following boards and committees: Budget and Finance, Civil Service, Code Enforcement, and Code Enforcement, that's it. Town Hall will be closed Friday, January 17th, and Monday, January 20th for Martin Luther King Day. Consent agenda. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Is there a second? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. There are no ordinances, public hearings, unfinished business. Mayor's nomination, Space Coast League of Cities alternate. We didn't do that last time, right? We just did the...
You just did the regular one, so we missed the alternates on both.
Oh, okay. Anybody want to be the alternate?
I can be the alternate. I attend the meetings on a recurring basis. So.
All right.
Nominate Doug.
I'll second that. Discussion, anyone? We're good?
All are welcome to attend, just for the record.
Can you clarify, is that for both positions, or?
No, it's just for the Space Coast League of Cities alternate.
Okay.
All those in favor of approving Doug as the Space Coast League of Cities alternate, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. How about a South Beaches Coalition alternate? Anyone?
I can do it. Sounds like the commitments are pretty minimal.
All right.
Just having two little kids, tough to,
Yeah.
but I should be able to make that. Not,
I'm just
Very,
not here.
very
Non-existent.
rarely, yeah.
Primary?
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
I think you'll be at all.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'm retired.
Appreciate you.
I'll nominate Brett for the position of
Is there a second?
A second.
All right. All in favor of approving Brett Miller as the South Beaches Coalition alternate, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Orlando Park. Is there any public comment for that?
This is in regards to the pickle.
Yeah, in regards to pickleball, sorry. Ms. Pappas.
I'm Catherine Pappas. I live at 406 Ormond Drive.
I think, pull the microphone.
Pull it down?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that? Not, I'll talk louder,
there you go.
sorry. Okay. It got me. It's Catherine Pappas, 406 Ormond Drive. So I wanted to talk about pickleball. There's been a lot of discussion, I know, about it, and will continue apparently. I'm just going to bring up the noise. You've heard a lot about it. The noise studies that are documented, the noise levels at 100 feet are 70 dBs. That's freeway traffic within a 100-foot area. At 400 feet, it still exceeds the town ordinance. So that's into the residential neighborhood. It's documented, you can Google it. I can leave you a copy of one of the studies. So we're already violating the noise ordinance, and it's one court. This is not 4 courts, it's not 2 courts, it's 1 court. And the whack of a paddle on a pickleball, the frequency is the beeping of your garbage truck backing up. I don't know who wants to listen to that all day. The residents around Orlando Park do not. The people in the park do not. So I'm asking you to please consider the fact that it violates the code. It belongs not in the middle of a residential area. Nance Park, great, right? It's already noisy over there, knock yourself out. But not in the middle. I work from home. I would like to open my windows. I would like to not listen to all that, right? And even if I didn't work from home, there's a lot of people that are home, want to work outside, want to do the yard, want to walk to the beach, want to sit at the park and read a book, have a birthday party for kids. And there's the birds. There's another study. We can also leave that. It will scare the bird. That noise level will remove the birds. So now you have impacted the environment as well. So everybody else will talk to you about all the other things, right? Kids being hit by increased traffic, everything. So I will stop with at least the noise part of it. It sounded like it wasn't super clear. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that it isn't impactful and does violate our code. So that's
All right, thank you. Keith Wassmerger.
I'd like to clarify, there's no decibel regulation in our code any longer. The noise ordinance section was changed a couple of months ago, so the decibel restrictions no longer exist. It's about what a reasonable individual would find to be, a disturbance.
Yeah.
We'll get to it. We'll play videos. We'll see.
That's convenient.
We'll see.
Hi, my name's Keith Wassmer, 406 Ormond Drive. We live directly across from the park. The view out of our living room window is the park, so we see what goes on every day there. That small court is used every day by children, by coaches, by their parents. There's not gonna be any time or space for it, and if there is, it's gonna be a lot of kids getting pushed aside. That was the whole point of this park being put in. I believe there was a petition submitted to you guys via email. We took about a day, 2 hours walking around. We got every neighbor surrounding the park and a street over to sign it. We're happy to keep going. There's tons of people that want to sign it, but we just want to show that we have a small group of support right now. You put the court in, it's gonna go on Google Maps. There's plenty in this county. A lot of my customers play. They never complain about where they have to go. Going back to that, it's a fact that it's a kids' park. Kids can't travel. They have to walk or ride their bicycles or ride their skateboards to get where they have to go. It's the only community park that they have to go to. They can't come over here to Nance because they can't cross the street. Adults have a car, they can drive wherever they want. They have plenty of places to play. The sound barrier is gonna be an issue. If you guys put up a sound barrier, what's it gonna look like? How tall is it gonna be? Does it have to encompass the whole court to stop the noise? How thick does it have to be? And what does that present? That presents an area where kids are gonna be able to go in when it's not being used as a pickleball court, and what are they gonna do in there? What if they get hurt? They hit their head on the court. Their parents don't see them. Who's responsible for that? Where does liability fall? What happens to the injuries? What happens to the teenagers that go in there and do what they want to do at night because these guys can't see them? Are they going to want to get out of their car and go look inside the bushes to go see what's going on? You already got a guy that's peeing in the bushes all the time. Nobody's removed him yet. So what's going to happen inside of that? You can't even see across the park once that barrier is in. And there's no other sound barrier that you can put in. How's the city going to be able to afford some sort of noise canceling barrier? Nobody's put that in. So I'm just asking you as a resident to look outside, and you know, it's not in your front yard, so it's a lot easier to say yes to it, but if it was, I bet you wouldn't. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Dick? Nothing? Real quick, has anybody else seen the petition? Mike told me about it, but I didn't see it.
It's on your dais.
Oh, okay. I was thinking it was email. Okay.
Should be, I think you emailed it to everybody too, didn't you?
I just had it on the dais.
We only received it this morning.
Okay. I see it now.
Dick Dunn, 330 Tampa Avenue. I wanted to introduce some information concerning the pickleball court issue. There's been two residents have submitted very detailed papers concerning the noise issue concerning pickleball courts in Orlando Park. And Scott Ward, who is a resident next to the park, is also a noted individual that has dealt with studies on birds for over 60 years. And he provided a detailed paper concerning noise issues relating to how they affect birds and how that they, the noise being too loud, they would not necessarily come to Orlando Park to to feed during a transition from north to south, and then when the winter's over, they they go back. So anyway, these papers that have been presented, I think, document that noise is a deterrent to residents. It's a deterrent to visitors to the park, and it's a deterrent to birds, migrating birds and local birds in the area. I also submitted 3 YouTube videos to the council, which, if viewed, document that noise is a problem with pickleball courts across the nation. And there have been some suits brought up against municipalities discussing putting a suit up against the particular municipality for excess noise. It's also been documented that people that have in communities have pickleball courts that put chain link fences around them and lock them, that people come in and hop the fence, and at early hours in the morning and at late hours at night, disrupting the community. Yesterday, I received a petition from 34 residents within the near vicinity of Orlando Park, all disagreeing that the pickleball court should be placed in the park. So I'm asking that this information be considered seriously and that a decision be made that pickleball court is not the proper place to be put in Orlando Park, perhaps in an area that is not surrounded by residential. It also points out in one of these papers that the real estate values can be affected by 10 to 20% in areas close to pickleball courts. So I'm just presenting this for your consideration and hoping that when you'll discuss this, that you come to the conclusion that Orlando Park is not the park to place a pickleball court.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? All right. Moving on. New business.
No, we're discussing it. We are discussing it.
Oh, we are?
So, thus far, everything that has been said has been from an academic perspective about paranoid fears of what may come without any actual practical experimentation of what it's actually like. What would it actually be like? So I did that this Sunday. Did that this Sunday when I was walking the neighborhood with my wife and 2 daughters, grabbed the pickleball paddle and ball, and went there, and my wife, who's on Parks and Rec, filmed me from inside the park near your house is over there, but still inside. It's probably at absolute most 70 feet away. Do you have those videos? Yeah. Okay. Will you first do the basketball one? I got lucky because there was a birthday party going on, and there was a kid who had a basketball, and I asked if I could borrow it to do a comparison. And I'm telling you, thus far, these are paranoid fears.
Starter right now, this first one. Why is the, hold on.
We didn't have the other.
Let me figure why the volume's not working here.
You see, it's silent. It's very beneficial. My point proven. That's me slapping it. That's the pickleball. That's fine. That's fine. It's me slapping it. Now, please play that one again, just so everyone can you can see. I'm like spiking it each time. Now, if you play the basketball one. So I would be the first to admit if that would have turned out to where it was obnoxiously loud on pickleball, I would have changed my mind. That's why I went and did that test. I think all these studies and such, there are other factors or other situations that are at play that have caused issues in those, circumstances. But I believe wholeheartedly, clearly, that at Orlando Park, that one single pickleball court, it's not gonna cause an issue. And I'm convinced that if we didn't have basketball and we were proposing to do basketball, everyone would be out with their torches and their pitchforks, making the same complaints, that it's gonna cause all these problems. And I don't think anybody has an issue with basketball. It's a community park. We all go along and get along. I think it's gonna work out just fine. And with respect to the birds, that's a secondary use. The park is for the residents. So I encourage each one of you to go out and try, just so you don't have to rely on my one experiment. Please, grab a pickleball, go out there and do it. You can hardly even hear it from the other side of the park. So, that's all I have to say.
Doug, you want to add anything?
No, I appreciate the innovativeness of your experiment, so I applaud that, Brett, so thank you for doing that. It doesn't change my opinion that, I know there's folks that would like to see it for residents' use, a pickleball court in Orlando Park. I think that's certainly admirable. It's not for the wrong reasons, but I think at this point in time, I don't see a compelling reason for us to make the addition or change to the park. If we feel that it's in the best interest of Indialantic to add a park, or add a pickleball court, then I think we can have an open discussion about what the best location to do that is, if we think that's within the charter and objective of the council and the town itself. But, this was put forth as a suggestion, a potential good idea to improve facilities. This isn't a burning issue that is at the root of problems within Indialantic that we're trying to solve, like stormwater drainage or code enforcement for proper property use, or for other issues that we truly need to resolve to improve resident life and the town. Certainly, we have available to us, albeit with other restrictions, as I've discussed with residents, that they're not always available, the most convenient course, because of time restrictions or other limitations and other folks using those facilities down at Flutie or at Hoover or Melbourne Beach or further afield. So I recognize that it would be nice to have a convenient location. But having weighed all those facts, I don't, if we were to consider it in the top 10 of things that the town needs to solve, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze, so to speak, at this point in time, in what we're considering. So, and the downside, it's not a plus side. There's a potential downside risk that it does cause perturbations in the quality of life and the use of the park. I, for one, do agree that the basketball court, both the basketball courts, are used and are valued by the residents and the younger ages on up. And taking that away potentially would be detrimental to those potential users or players. So I don't disagree with what you did. It was informative, but on the grounds of everything we've heard today, I don't think there's a compelling reason to move forward at this point in time with Orlando Park and a pickleball court, my opinion. Thank you.
John? Or Carrie?
So I walk in the neighborhood a lot, and I happen to notice, I believe it's 331 Orlando, I'm not sure who lives there, that they had a pickleball court set up there. I just want to know if there's any noise complaints from that temporary pickleball court, number one, if there's any complaints from that. And number two, is there any prohibition, again, I asked this last time, there's no prohibition if I want to go get a net, throw it up and start playing pickleball down there tomorrow? Okay. Do we know if there's any noise complaints from Orlando Avenue due to pickleball?
Mr. Brady, I don't have that information, but just reading daily reports, I don't recall seeing any noise complaints.
And I haven't seen a pickleball court in a while. I know that they had it there for a little while, set up temporarily. All right, thank you.
Carrie?
My question, you may not, Chief, have the answer to this. I want to know if there's been a significant amount of noise complaints generated from the basketball court.
Ms. Floyd, no, ma'am, we haven't received any complaints about that.
Okay. So I don't play pickleball, so I don't really have a dog in this race. But I will say, I disagree with one of the public comments that it's a park for children. I think it's a park for our community, and I think it's a park for everyone. And moving it to Nance Park would undertake a tremendous expense to the town, money that we don't have budgeted. So I know this because I came off the Budget and Finance Committee. So it's a minimal expense for a piece of concrete that's already there. So it's a no-brainer in my mind.
It was concrete replaced,
That,
Right.
excuse me.
Sir.
Excuse me. That we would undertake the expense of just for pickleball. This is something that's already there. It can be used. I would almost suggest that just what Councilman Brady said, you know, someone can put a net up and start using it right now. While we're going to the next month, somebody try it and see if there's noise generated. Bring us some data.
Well, I think the difference with anybody could bring it, they can, but that's not permanent, and that's not gonna be put on a map anywhere. That's not gonna, you know, draw people from other places.
But that's not the, I'm sorry, but that's not the complaint, Mr. Mayor. The complaint is the noise. So,
Right.
you know, I get it. You draw more people and you may incur more noise. But I mean, again, it's,
Right, right.
But that's silly because the park in and of itself draws people from out of town in. There's birthday parties there all the time. 50 kids. Does that create, I want to be clear about something. I'm not a pickleball player, so don't be confused that you think I want this for my own personal benefit. I don't play pickleball. The paddle and ball that I had was given to me as like a promo item. I just think it would be a cool feature for those who do play it, because that's, just as Carrie said, it's a community park, and that is a feature that individuals in our community would appreciate. And it's only one court, 4 people can play at most. There's no way that one court where 4 people that can play at most is gonna create some undue burden that basketball and just the park in general is not already creating. So this is just like so many other issues in the town. We are, you know, building up these problems and these issues that don't really exist. If they were, this is not an irreversible decision. If it became to the point where you couldn't work in the day, trust me, I'm the first person willing to admit when I am wrong, and I will apologize for it. I've done so as a council member. If it becomes a serious issue, then we can reverse course and take it down, and then we're done with it. I think it's silly to not give it a chance to find out whether or not it actually is a problem. And I think if we do give it a chance, we're gonna come to find it's not a problem.
You have to,
So let me rephrase the discussion. So we started out with this, not tonight, but going back several months. We started out with the discussion of, with the end in mind, rather than asking the question of, if we were to add an additional feature to, or improvement to a park, just let's start with broad. What would we add that residents would want? What would we add and where would we add it? We haven't asked that question. And if we were to ask that question, who would we ask that question of and to first? My expectation and personal opinion would be we'd start with Parks and Rec and say, hey, we have some money. We'd like to see how we can improve our parks. Provide us some ideas and inputs on what the top 5 things we would do and where we would do that. What we have arrived at as a council, in my opinion, is we have arrived at a solution before we even consider what it is we're trying to achieve. I'm not saying the solution can't, or the recommendation can't be a pickleball court. What I'm trying to understand in my mind as we sit here and discuss this is we have
The genesis.
we have 4 people. I actually play pickleball. I don't think anybody else ever actually plays pickleball, ironically enough. But we have arrived at a solution where we are trying to implement an improvement to a park, whether we agree that it's the right improvement or not. Table that for a minute. Whereby, how did we arrive at this recommendation? How do we arrive at this decision? The idea was put forth to, hey, we could put a pickleball court in Orlando Park. And then that became the decision, not okay, that's a great idea. What other things should we consider if we're going to improve the park? Which is fine. Let me finish. So if we walk that back, what's the basis for picking a pickleball court over something else? What other features could we add? We have added to Orlando Park in the not-so-distant past. What's the octagon thing called, Joe?
Gaga ball.
I can see Joe's dying because I know what he's thinking.
I know where it came from. That's fine.
Exactly,
I'm
it's
not.
the
I'm,
Gaga We weren't thinking about an
Let me
improvement. We
finish.
had to replace something.
We added how do we get to the,
We removed the basketball.
no,
sorry.
the octagon thing.
Yeah,
with the wheel.
we installed a Gaga pit after removing a basketball hoop.
But the
But it
guy,
wasn't like a
yeah, I
real
remember there was a
basketball,
shooting
yeah.
thing, but
What's
how
it
was
called?
that decision, remind
Yeah.
me, Joe, how
I'm
was
sorry.
that decision arrived at? Did council weigh in? Were we consulted? Was Parks and Rec? How did we make that decision?
Parks and Rec.
Thank you.
I didn't hear that.
Parks and Rec
Okay.
for the Gaga Ball.
So, can I just put this in there? The reason it was included in the budget was the Parks and Rec had wanted the pickleball courts. I think Kathy Berkman, who's here, she can speak when she was on the Parks and Rec, so we didn't have the funding. We had to replace that basketball court, the cement anyway, it was all cracking.
I'm aware, thank you, Mike. Yeah.
But it did come from Parks and Rec initially. That's where it came from. Now, there might be a different turnover on the Parks and Rec, and I think their feelings are different now. But that's what
But just to be clear, because I want the residents to understand this, it's not like the town was like, let's see where we can put a pickleball court or what improvement we can do to this park. No, it was, we have to do scheduled maintenance. We have to replace this, slab. In doing so, which it's a budgeted item years out, in doing so, hey, should we make it a little bit bigger in order to offer an additional amenity? Not take one away, because, as Joe's pointed out the entire time, the basketball hoop's gonna stay. We're not, swapping one for the other. So it would be a first come, first served type basis. So it was just, hey, scheduled maintenance, may as well make it a little bit bigger to allow for regulation pickleball to, provide an additional amenity for the townspeople.
To be clear, there was no strings attached to the increase of the size. It would allow for the option if we decided to do that moving forward.
Which we did.
Agree, fair enough, just to be clear.
Joe, what was the approximate cost of that surface?
Top of my head, I'm not sure, Mr. Mayor. I think it was $20,000 for the concrete and another $8,000 to do the resurface, about $28,000.
Mike, yeah, we know, the public may not, the Nance Park is obviously an enterprise zone, so money from the general budget can't be used for Nance Park, and Nance Park enterprise zone money can't be used in Orlando. So the question is $28,000 out of the enterprise zone for next budget year. I mean, is that easy to work in if we wanted to put it in?
Because our expenses are basically
It's tight.
all the money we take in for parking. We're not gonna see an increase in parking funds. We raised the fund, things this
Right.
year. And we do need to do things in Nance Park, like the bathrooms, and I know the boardwalk RFP, we talked about doing improvements down there, so could we do it? Yeah, it's gonna take money away from other projects. That, it depends where you prioritize, council wants to prioritize their money going towards.
Right, okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I may add, I might be the only person in this room that lives north of Fifth Avenue, and so I'm representing that right now. I lived through the potential nightmare of the Starbucks coming in my neighborhood, which is 2 blocks from my house. I also lived through the potential nightmare of the Publix coming in at A1A and Watson, which is 1.5 blocks from my house. And they have become non-issues. There's no noise, there's no additional traffic, minute traffic of people that are crossing from Riverside that come up Wayne Avenue to go to Dogwood to Watson. So I wonder aloud if this might be, we're worried about problems that aren't really going to exist, to piggyback on.
And those were irreversible decisions. This one, can be corrected if it turns out to be a problem.
Correct.
I mean, at a very inexpensive cost, because all that's left is painting lines and putting up a net. So you take down a net and you paint over lines.
Okay. All right. Yeah, Dick. Yeah, that's fine.
No, you're gonna have other public comments.
Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine.
No, I mean, we may as well allow people to talk.
These two residents would also like
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Dick Dunn, 330 Tampa Avenue. A lot of data has been provided to the town hall documenting that pickleball courts have a lot of objections. I assume, and you can tell me whether I'm right or wrong, that this data was, all of this data was transmitted to everyone on the council. And everyone on the council viewed all of the documentation, including the YouTube videos. So we have someone, Brett, that tested the sound out down there. Would you consider that a vigorous game of pickleball?
I would consider it me spiking it over and over. So in reality, it was probably more than what pickleball would be, because there's a lot of breaks in between and people just kind of doing lob shots and things of that nature. I was just whack, 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 whack.
Yeah, well, I have a different opinion.
That's fine.
That was not a vigorous game of pickleball. In addition, you're basing your judgment on your personal opinion versus looking at data that has been provided, and I requested, to be fair to this issue, that those videos be shown so everybody understands and can listen for themselves and hear the comments that these people made concerning their disagreement with pickleball. So if the council wants to be completely fair about this, then I would ask that at least those videos be shown so people in the audience can hear it, and everybody that's involved in this can hear it. And you're also, what we're saying is that the people around the perimeter of the park don't matter. And the 34 names of people that signed that petition don't matter. That their opinion has been disregarded because a test was made hitting the ball up and down a few times. So I'm saying, if you would adjust to allow this data to be shown from the videos and hear the comments of people that have been experiencing this, whether it's one pickleball court or a group of pickleball courts. I agree that one pickleball court's not going to be as loud as more than one pickleball court, but there are other issues that are presented in these videos that I think have relevance. And I think as far as that, putting it in and then later on saying, oh, well, we're getting complaints, you're going to have complaints for at least 34 people. And my name's not on that petition. So I would ask a little lenience rather than make your decision at this particular point in time.
Thank you, Dick.
To table it.
Thank you, Dick.
I will say this, a couple of things. One, there's obviously this, approach to inevitably kick the can down the road in perpetuity. I will allow it this one time, but I am going to call a vote at the next meeting, no matter who shows up. We're kind of starting to get into litigating the case here. And if that's the situation, then I'd be happy to cross-examine about those studies and point out every single factor that is different than what we are dealing with in our situation. And therefore, those would not be admissible in evidence because of or a jury wouldn't rely on them because of the severe differences that is not applicable to our situation. As far as the petition, I mean, same situation could be had. We could go around and make our case and show our particular videos and get a bunch of people on board. I mean, that doesn't, to me, carry the day. I'm gonna set up a pickleball game on that court in the meantime, and I'm gonna film it to further prove the point that this is a made-up, fictitious issue that people are worried about that is non-existent. So I will let people know when that date is. I'm sure you'll see me out there, but that's what I'm gonna do.
Doug, can you teach me when he does that?
I don't even know how to keep score or anything. I don't really know how to play pickleball.
I'll be happy to come out and show you.
Y'all have anything you want to add?
In a competitive game. Put some money on it.
Okay. Lauren?
Lauren Strand, 120 Ormond Drive. I've got a very good friend who plays highly competitive pickleball. I'm not a pickleballer myself. And he plays in a league. And what he's going to say is he's going to say they're different pickleballs, actually. We actually talked about what types are louder and quieter, what type of paddles are used. There's different equipment that's used. This is stuff that Councilmember Miller may or may not know. I wouldn't know the difference, but he's explained it to me because I talked about this issue. I said, would you allow this? He actually has, within his community area, privately owned, granted, a pickleball court, and there have been challenges with the neighbors. You've got to remember that there's socializing that happens. There's traffic moving in and out here. There are people usually waiting. It's not necessarily just one set of people. I would encourage, with a video, and be careful of confirmation bias. Remember, whenever we, and I got to be aware of it too, when you look for something and you have a strong opinion, be careful of finding everything that confirms that. Chief will be the first to say you're going to have to keep an open mind, look at the evidence that's there. I would run a one where I'd have some people coming up and down, and real good pickleball players, let them really go, pro level with the stuff, driving in and out, socializing. Now you've got a real type of scenario that could happen. And I'm not saying overdo it. To Brett's point, be fair. What would likely truly be happening in this situation? So the other thing is I want to remind you that you are affecting with the birds. I don't look at the environment and just say people over that. That leads to a very challenging place. Remember, we have bird watchers that come from around the nation, a lot of areas that value that. And when they leave, you're taking a potential very valuable thing that some people care about. They photograph it. Dick Dunn and others can really talk about that. And Scott Ward, remember, is a renowned, if you look at his academics and what he wrote, and I sent the letter to the mayor and to Councilmember Wright. I felt that if you were looking at it and you wanted to disseminate it further, I don't know if you did, you didn't tell me in that, I'm going to resend it into all of you. Brett, absolutely, look at the data, because the idea to say this is just going to happen when you have an expert telling you that this is going to change at least one aspect. And you can have the debate. To Doug's point, what is the best thing to do? That's exactly what you can keep talking about. Remember, though, if you don't listen to residents, you're going to find, even undoing it, a lot of unhappy folks with you. And I'd sign that petition and potentially I'd look at it and talk about it, but I'd have to look who's doing it and what's up. Please give deference to also listening to the residents for what they want. There is no burning piece, and maybe we can find some money and some other things to get it to Nance Park with, you talked even about the pavilion being run down and potentially having something there. That is an area where I would personally give some dollars towards. There may be other ways to do it. So consider that, please. Thank you, Council. I appreciate it.
Through your friend, could you potentially facilitate different balls and paddles? Any chance?
There are, actually.
Indoor and
Could you ask
outdoor.
your friend?
Dave Berkman, 225 8th Avenue. Yes, there are two types of balls. There's indoor and outdoor balls.
Okay.
There are different manufacturers of outdoor balls. They all sound the same. There are indoor balls that have different texture because they're meant for hard floors. So that. And there are many different types of paddles, and some make different noises because some are softer, some are harder, some are for spins. So one thing you guys are completely missing, I think maybe you guys see it, there is no professional people coming to play in that court if it happens. They play where there's fences protected, right, and there's more than one court. This is going to be a court, if it happens, that's going to be families and people that live there. And if you have played, my wife plays in leagues, I've played some, in order to have a volley where you can go back and forth 10 times at a high speed, There isn't a chance in hell you guys had to do that within a year of playing. It is hard. Most of these things are bomb, bop, bop, bop. It's slow. And that's what these families will do. If you're really going to go play, you're going to go play at these courts that are fenced in so you don't lose the ball. That's not going to happen here. These are going to be casual players, and there is zero chance people that are playing in leagues are going to go play at that court. It is not going to happen. The Cloisters has 6 courts next to homes. I know 2 people live across the street. There are no complaints there. The Sanctuary has the same thing. They have a lot of courts, and those are more in line with where you play if you're actually in a league. This is absolutely not that. Right, so I think you guys are just so far off. And again, if you want to go do it, we're going with a net. We're going to set up a net, and we're going to go do the same thing you did, Brett. I was there right after you did it. I think you guys are totally mischaracterizing this thing. So, and as far as running the meeting, you guys should have had a motion on this thing, have the discussion, and you have a second vote on it coming anyway. So you got another month to go worry about it. To go push the can for another month, listen to the same stories again and again. It's silly in my mind, personally, but thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Anyone else? Yep.
Catherine Kappas, 406 Ormond Drive. Please don't forget the fact that that court, that piece of concrete is used every day by kids and adults. Basketball, people teaching basketball, kids playing other games and being coached in other sports on that piece, on that slab of concrete. You're now taking that away. You're taking it away by not putting a pickleball court elsewhere. Yes, you're adding pickleball, but what happens to the kids that are out there training for other things? They're not gonna have a space anymore. That space is used. It's not like it's idle, dead space. That's not the case. So, just for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Moving on. New business. Discuss operating hours of the town parks. Reference in memo, uninvited licensee. Chief, this is yours, right? Or is this Mike?
This is kind of from actually Molly and Joe meeting with the attorneys on some legal issues. And basically, we had people injured on parks that were like marked off, but they went around and things. And basically, the recommendation is that, like at dusk at dawn, we don't have lights in the park. Just closing the playground areas in Nance Park, Orlando Park, and Sunrise Park, and that if they're on the property afterwards get hurt, they're an uninvited attendee. Right now, this open, so they're invited. We don't have any hours just for the playground equipment, it's just when the park closes. So that was the recommendation. We want to get feedback from you to see if we can create an ordinance and just change that portion.
So it helps to legally release us from liability after hours.
Yes.
Basically.
Nothing's gonna actually,
It helps.
correct, because it switches the burden, because people are no longer considered invited into the park, because the park is closed.
Doug?
Yeah, so there, actually, 2 things. So I like so looking at other ordinances, right, or other towns, excuse me, like Cocoa Beach specifies a time. I like dusk, or they specify sunset. Dusk is a little better, because dusk is basically the last thing between now and dark, as opposed to sunset, which leaves it obviously a little bit more, 30 minutes light or so. The other consideration is we have it written into the code currently, the hours of operation. I know we've had discussions about making it a resolution on the hours so that we could easily modify those at a later time without having to go through 2 readings in the publication and so on and so forth.
I believe we did that already. I have to double check. Yeah.
It is in a resolution? My apologies then. So
Yeah.
there's leftover residue from prior discussions.
But this is, yeah, just taking the playground areas or, that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Closing Nance Park all the way down, just the play equipment and stuff and the use.
Right, and we would still, and there's stipulations allowing for staying open later for the parking lot for bonfires, right, for the beach access portion.
Correct.
But not the playground portion. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in favor of it, generally speaking. I know, I find it humorous that Gus Carey is a park that would be closed at dusk, because I walk my dogs and go through that park after hours, so.
We're not proposing every park close at sunset.
I understand, I just find it.
Gus Carey, I think they close at 10 o'clock, so it would be.
Sometimes I'm later than that.
I
But
know.
don't call me for trespassing, sorry.
Now, we got the police. Yeah.
So I'm fine with it, I'm good with it, thank you.
Brett?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. In some senses, I'm surprised that some of these places are open as late as they are.
Residue, yeah.
Yeah, like, because once we pass pickleball, I'm gonna be playing until 9 p.m. Just,
July, you might be able to.
no, because that was one of my arguments before about pickleball, is that it should be regulated, sun up, sun down. Point being, relating to the park, I'm surprised that, so anyways, yeah, I'm in favor of this. Maybe we want to revisit it and kind of shorten some of these times.
I'm gonna put a fine jar in. Anybody that says pickleball
Yeah, right.
throws a dollar in. John?
Very much in favor. Any tool that can be instituted to help law enforcement keep folks that we don't want in the parks out. I mentioned the chief before the meeting. I run the bridge or walk the bridge a lot and get over into Melbourne, and there's two parks I walk through over there, right at the riverfront there and one across from the marina. And I'm sorry, I don't know the names of them. But if you walk over there, it's pretty scary what's going on less than 2 miles from here. So whatever tools we can utilize and put in place to keep that from happening over here, I'm a proponent of.
Carrie?
Totally fine with it.
All right, what do you need from us?
Just consensus, and then working with the town attorney, Paul, to draft something up, and whether it has to be by resolution or ordinance change.
Just want to ask, understand kind of from a nuts and bolts perspective how this works. So the Nance Park area is closed, once sunset, but you have a permitted bonfire. You're allowed to park in the parking lot there to go across and do your bonfire, and then, but that, right?
Yeah, we're not closing the park itself. Right now, Nance Park is open till 1:30, but the playground area.
Right.
So we're posting that with lighted signs saying that, the playground area here is closed, or, play equipment's closed.
Okay.
Those three parks.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, when you say Nance, you mean the
Exercise,
whole
yeah.
thing. I kind of think of it as like the playground.
Like the bathrooms, we keep the bathrooms open till like 9 at night, Lee's.
Yeah, okay. And then, but if there was a special event that was permitted, no big deal.
Right,
It's
well,
the exception, otherwise permitted.
we're not gonna have the playground equipment open at special events. In fact, we try to mark that off when we had special events up there, just so people aren't wandering over there. And
Christmas, though, the tree lighting, we have it open.
yeah, we can declare that and stuff. It's not a problem.
Yeah. So there'd just be stuff like that is accepted from this.
Yeah.
Because it's otherwise.
The Halloween, and I see what you're saying. Yeah, like the Halloween thing and Christmas.
Yeah.
And Chief, if I remember from the memo, like just transiting through walking isn't a problem. Is that right?
That's correct. The beach is still open.
That's
and
right.
so the pedestrian crossovers are still open. We did discuss closing parking in Nance Park at midnight, and from Fifth Avenue North, closing that at midnight versus 1:30 to be in accordance with the current ordinance for bonfires, because bonfires do go till midnight per the ordinance, so.
All right. Yeah, I didn't state my position, but I'm in total agreement with everybody, so.
Are y'all interested in exploring closing the parking hours, making them different than they are?
Remind me again, the parking hours, so Tampa.
1:30.
Tampa, Nance, Boardwalk, and Sunrise, what are those?
So, different hours, it's 1:30 in Nance Park, all the way down to the former Wendy's. And then that closes at 9 o'clock going south. Tampa and Sunrise, they both close at 9 o'clock.
9 is right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chief?
For parking there.
For
Even
parking.
like a low-speed vehicle and such. But I could ride my bike because I often, like, especially the wintertime when the Constellations are coming right over the ocean, you can go to the beach on your bike.
Yeah. Just the parking area is closed.
Yep.
So I don't know if y'all want to explore that or changing those hours or not.
I don't, unless there's a compelling reason to make
Yeah.
changes to the existing hours of operations for those parking spaces, I would say we leave them as is.
Chief, do you have an opinion?
It's my opinion that parking close at midnight at Nance Park, and then keep the existing hours for Sunrise Park, Tampa. There's nothing open after 10
Right.
o'clock down on
Yeah.
Wavecrest anyway. And then, so with the county, I think it was last year, year before, now says that you can serve alcoholic beverages. You can purchase alcoholic beverages 24/7. So we're starting to get some open container issues and things like that down there after dark. So I would recommend that from Fifth Avenue North up into Nance Park, the parking closes at midnight. And then from the south, it closes still at 9 o'clock in consideration of the condominiums and things that are down there for noise.
How does that work? I would imagine that like guests to some of the condos use the public parking for their parking overnight sometimes? Does that ever happen?
Not
No?
typically, no.
No? Okay.
Wave Crester is an exception, but we get permits, you know, we get little hang tags and things like that
Oh, okay,
for
cool.
guests that come in there.
Usually if it's a special occasion or something, we'll do that.
Or, yeah, Isla
Isla Morada.
Morada, that's who I meant, Isla
Yeah.
Morada, yeah.
Gotcha.
What do you think?
Yeah, the only other question I have is, are the hours of parking also by resolution or ordinance? And if we
That'd be
want
an ordinance change.
we'd want to,
Yeah.
okay, if we're not going to change it, then we leave it as is. If we're going to change it, then I would ask we consider to move it to a resolution for parking hours.
Okay.
But if we're not making changes, then I would just leave it as it sits.
So are we in favor, consensus of moving a parking to midnight for Nance Park and all the way to the Wave Crest there? And then we can, if we have to address the ordinance, we'll make it as a resolution in the future?
I'm good with that, Doug.
It's fine, I'm good.
I like the
Okay.
idea of being consistent.
Right.
If park closes, then the parking needs to be closed. Why leave the parking open for
the-
public?
I think Nance parking is open till midnight because of the bonfire
Right.
at Nance
Yeah.
Park. But that's the only location we allow bonfires is Nance Park. So I think that's consistent, right?
Yeah.
Am I correct?
There are people that go down there to see the sea turtles and stuff now, usually not 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, but from like 9 to midnight, you'll see people down there. And the Sea Turtle Preservation Society gives tours and things like that.
Do we have, because I didn't realize that Fifth Ave South on Wave Crest parking was closed at 9. Are there signs about
No,
it?
south of the old Wendy's, there's signs
Excuse me,
there.
south of the old
It goes up the middle of the road.
Okay.
Plus in front of all of there's signs in front of all the parking spaces, and it says the hours.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Never parked there.
So we're now talking about the line of demarcation being Fifth Avenue?
No. Is it?
The current location, like where the Wendy's was down there.
Well, Chief is saying Fifth. You're saying Wendy's.
Well,
I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
If it works, it works.
Leave the demarcation wherever it is,
okay.
whatever you guys figure out.
I wouldn't make any changes to the demarcation unless we think there's a compelling reason. Midnight for Nance and 9 PM for everything else. Right?
Any input, Paul?
Okay.
All right. Public comment on that? All right, moving on.
Do we need to make a motion or a vote, or are we good with consensus?
We're good with consensus.
Okay, all right, thank you, sorry.
Section 4-8, possession of open containers, consumption of in public places. This was Chief, right?
It's cheap.
All right.
Yeah.
He's got a book.
It's just one page, so.
Oh,
Good evening and Happy New Year. I don't like standing up here too much because the executive blonde I can see in the camera now in the back of my head, and I don't know how it got there. But so I make a recommendation to council that we change the existing ordinance from 4-8 that says that if we encounter somebody on the beach with an open container, or not even open container, just in possession, consumption, open container, that right now we have to give that person a warning before we can take any kind of affirmative action on it, or law enforcement action. I recommend that we change that to where we can issue a citation, and it would be officer discretion. We would still typically try and warn, but if we get somebody who's, rowdy or whatever, then we can issue them a citation. We currently don't have any means to do that. So much like the litter citation, we could create something that would enable the officers to go down and issue a citation for possession, consumption, or of an open container. So right now, the way that the ordinance reads is if we do warn somebody and then they're in violation, then it's a second-degree misdemeanor. It's punishable by 60 days imprisonment, $500 fine. And so if we do prosecute somebody on that, we have to we bear the costs of prosecution.
In defense.
And defense, thank you. And it used to be $50, it's gone up to $100 now, and I know that the state attorney's office is backlogged on misdemeanor cases. So it takes arrest out of the equation, makes it a little bit more fair for the people that are down there. And really, the people that violate this the most are from out of town, they're tourists. And so we never really even see them again after the warning, but this would give us some bite. Enterprise funds. This would increase some revenue for Enterprise 1 and 2. And so I did talk to some of the other beachside agencies to find out what they're doing in comparison. Indian Harbor Beach does have on their books that they can issue a $50 citation. They typically don't do that, though. They just issue a trespass warning, which again leads to arrest for violating the trespass warning. Cocoa Beach Police Department has beach rangers that actually handle it. They typically warn them, and then they can move on to a citation also. Satellite Beach has in their ordinance that consuming on city property is prohibited, except for like the Civic Center, the Schreckner Center, the Pelican Beach Clubhouse, but that's by permit. And Melbourne Beach Police Department actually allows alcohol on their beaches. So we're with ABC right there and CVS. I mean, I can tell you, I've personally seen 18 packs and things like that going down to the beach. And we're not, going to go down there and just stroke everybody's citations, but I would kind of mirror what some of the other agencies are doing, what the other municipalities are doing. Indian Harbor Beach has it actually really, they laid it out pretty well, how they issue the citation, what courses it goes through. If there's so they start at $50, then it goes to $100 for a second offense, and then up to, I want to say $250 is a cap that they actually do for a third or subsequent offense. But I think it just gives a little bit more enforcement. We did it in the past, and the town manager will tell you that we've actually gone down in plain clothes on spring break and summer details and things like that to go down and look for underage drinking, look for rowdy individuals, things like that. But to have a citation book in our back pocket that where we can actually, start writing some citations for this would give out, that definitely would get out that we're issuing citations and try and curb some of that issue. So,
What penalties are you proposing?
I would propose a civil penalty of $50 on the first offense, $100 on the second and subsequent offenses.
About if they fail to pay.
If they fail to pay, that would have to be something we'd have to figure out. I think, I don't know about collections but it could be challenged in court or by a magistrate, just like any other, like the parking citations and litter citations.
Can you tack it onto a license plate like the parking, or?
No.
But what about, similar, we did, it's like after 30 days on the parking, littering citations, if they don't pay those, we automatically send them to court.
Correct.
So something along those lines, I don't know. We haven't had too many problems, we haven't had a lot of issues, but, with payment.
I would view it in a similar vein to the littering citation, where it's meant to curb influence behavior of our beach, mainly our beach-going crowd from out of town mainly, and help them behave in a manner that's more consistent with what we're looking for.
Correct. And at the end of the day, again, it's officer discretion, It's,
Right.
It's,
I could write you
a lot of people
citation,
write their own
yeah.
tickets, so.
I understand. Yeah. If you can't be discreet about what you're doing, then
Yeah. Brett, any input?
Is there something that specifically happened recently that's kind of the genesis, or are you just trying to get out ahead of it because spring break's coming up?
We have made arrests for possession of alcohol after warning, and it is a little arduous trying to go through the legal system on that.
Okay.
And I've been a big proponent of that for a long time already. I think we should have been doing this a while ago.
I hear the two things here. It's having the opportunity to be able to citation them without a warning first, and then also that you want to do the citation versus the arrest, or am I
Correct.
mistaken there?
Yes.
And so we pretty much be completely revamping the section for not just like a tweak or two. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I don't have an issue, just as long as you guys aren't arresting me if I have a inconspicuous adult.
And it's
beverage
not,
on the beach
just
in the
to
summertime.
generate revenue or anything like that for, it's normal course of business.
I
It's
got
what we
you.
do.
It's
so.
the jerk belligerent people
It's,
up at
it's a
Fifth
public
Ave.
safety issue,
John?
No, big fan. any tools that
Thank you, sir.
can help you out.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Okay.
Is that good? You need anything?
Nope.
All right. Mike, you got anything to report?
Real quick, yeah, hold on. Just, couple things is, I was in contact with Jason Steele, in this last week and stuff, and he sent me some legislative, several of them for funding and stuff. So I'm gonna be working on those in the next couple weeks to get to them. They get February, they have to be in by like middle of February, but I'll have them done before then. I'm getting some more numbers from Scott Glubitz on the pier, because our pier is closed down right now because of safety issues, and it's a little, we're waiting for the funding portions. We had to close it down just for safety, and that's what we're going to the legislation for, at least matching funds, if not more, because we have a little more repairs than we thought, even the roof area down there, and I'd also be adding on a kayak launch that's ADA accessible.
And it'll remain closed until it's fixed, whether
Yeah,
that's a year from now.
It's too much to repair, where it's been $50,000 doing a temporary repair to tear it down and repair it.
Okay.
So do we anticipate Jason Steele participating in advocating for matching funds?
Yeah, we've been back and forth texting and stuff. He was out of the country, and he was in DC, and since he's got back, I've had several texts this week with Jason and stuff, and conversations.
That's it?
That's it.
Paul?
No report.
Doug?
Thanks to Public Works and town staff for decorating the town. Switch the banners over quickly. I see they're already into the spring, although it doesn't feel like spring out there. But Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you for a good 2024. Looking forward to a good 2025. Thank you.
Brett?
Just thanks for everyone who participated in any sort of way with the holiday golf cart parade, and especially those who donated. We ended up raising $1,900 for the Candlelighters of Brevard. So hopefully we beat 2,000.
Good job, Brett.
Thanks, everybody.
John?
Happy New Year, and just shout out to the fire department that Santa coming around town is now a family tradition for our family, and we're bringing friends over to the house, so that is awesome. One of the reasons we love living here.
Gary? All right. Thanks for coming. Meeting adjourned.